Welcome to the Killer Innovations Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Hello, this is Phil McKinney, and welcome to this week's show. One of the conversations I have quite regularly with a lot of the listeners is around tools and methodologies and approaches, as many of you are innovation leaders within your organization, or you're entrepreneurs and you're trying to build up and recruit teams, but you want a team that has a high impact from an effort around innovation. Now, innovation's been around forever. You can go back to, the design of the first wheel, right? Gets viewed as in cartoons, et cetera, as being, one of the big breakthrough innovations. But as innovation has become more important, the development of methodologies and frameworks and tools and strategies and approaches has just exploded. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of consultants out there who want to give you kind of the magic 10-step process, and you can be a magic innovator, or your team or your organization. And look, it's hard work. It's not something you can just, write a check for, get the book delivered, and then just read it step by step by step. It doesn't work that way. You're talking about eliciting or encouraging your individuals, your team members to dig deep, find that creative spark. And that's something that just, it's not a light switch. You can't turn it on and off. But one of the strategies that I would encourage you to take a look at, which is having a pretty meaningful impact on innovation success, and that is applying Agile to your innovation efforts. You may already be doing Agile in other areas, such as your marketing team or product development teams, etc. But applying Agile, bringing agility into your innovation process, can have a significant and meaningful impact to your organization. And again, it's about improving your overall innovation successes. And you want to take Agile and apply it to your innovation framework. So this week's episode of the podcast, we're going to explore the 7 essential ingredients of Agile innovation. But before we jump into this week's episode, got a favor to ask. Can you follow us over on our social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you prefer? Like this episode. Give us comments over wherever you download it, whether that be over at Apple iTunes or iHeartRadio or Spotify or wherever you get the show. And then share it. If there's somebody inside your organization, or maybe somebody that's in your network of contacts who you think would benefit from the show, send them today's link. You can find it over at the show notes over at killerinnovations.com. All of this helps us spread the word, let other people know about the show. So let's hop in to this week's episode talking about the 7 essential ingredients of Agile innovation. Innovation is not a new phenomenon. No matter what you may think, it's not new. Innovation has in fact been around since the dawn of time. We've seen it in everything from cave paintings to the modern day technologies we wear on our wrist or have in our pockets. Now, as innovation capabilities have developed over the years, so have things like innovation frameworks, tools, and methods for improving innovation success. Organizations that want to improve their innovation impact need to look seriously at embracing agility as part of their innovation framework. Now, this week's episode of the podcast, we're going to explore 7 of the essential ingredients to Agile innovation. Now, before we get started, what is Agile? What do I mean by Agile? Now, the dictionary defines Agile as the ability to move quickly and easily. Are you agile? Are you flexible? Can you start, stop, change directions? Another definition is the ability to think and understand quickly. Now, it's really the combination of those two definitions that I'm talking about when it applies to innovation. Now, agile tools and methodologies have been widely adopted in software development to great success. It's been around literally for decades, and most, if not all, software organizations have some aspect of agile methodologies that they use to speed up the process and to ensure that what they deliver in the end will be successful. Agile is now crossing over and gaining traction in innovation frameworks, methodologies, processes, and tools. Now, agile innovation is an iterative approach. It helps teams to deliver high impact innovations, which is all of our objectives. Yeah, okay, incremental innovations, they have their place. They have their role, and we shouldn't overlook those. Agile is about taking iterative steps, constantly testing, constantly evaluating, and doing it on a very quick basis rather than waiting for the big reveal in the end. Now, the innovations team's work must be focused on generating creativity in little bits so that it can be tested with whoever you're targeting, whoever has the problem that you are looking to solve. Now, the ultimate goal, the end goal, why an organization should seriously think about agile innovation and think about wrapping agile into its process is to deliver the ultimate direction or objective of innovation in a way that is scalable and sustainable, which is what we all want. Yeah, innovation is not an event. It's a process. It's not a one-time activity. It is a sustainable impact to an organization. Now, what we're going to talk through is the 7 essential ingredients to agile innovation. You may think there's 10, you may think there's 4. These are the 7 that I think about when I think about agile innovation. Now, as always, the objective here is not to give you the exact steps. Follow these 7 steps and magic happens. You need to understand agile and you need to adapt it to your innovation processes, whether you're an entrepreneur and starting a new business, or you're running a team, or you're an executive in a large organization. You need to adapt agility, the agile frameworks, to how you innovate, to how you operate. This is not a one-size-fits-all. Just as I talk about quite regularly, innovation processes are not a one-size-fits-all. If you have consultants pounding on your door saying, we've got this magic innovation process, or we have this magic agile innovation framework, run. Because the odds of them having a standard process that they can just drop on your desk and walk away and you're going to be successful is near zero. So, what I'm going to walk through are the 7 essential ingredients. You need to dig into each one of these, those that you want to apply, and in some cases you may say, that doesn't work with the processes that we operate under. That's fine. But you do need to take a look at how do you make your innovation process, your innovation teams, the projects that you're funding more agile in the context of what we're going to talk about now. So number 1, first essential ingredient for agile innovation is collaboration with stakeholders. Collaborating with stakeholders is essential for agile and specifically agile innovation. Now, what do I mean by stakeholders? Stakeholders are your team, subject matter experts, your target user, the person who benefits from what you're going to deliver, from outsiders who may have an input, whether it be something maybe regulatory required or somebody that you value that can bring a distinct perspective. Identify that set of stakeholders and you need to collaborate with them very closely. Why? Because collaboration with stakeholders helps in building a common understanding of the problem. And that is key. That's why I put this as number 1. You need to identify those stakeholders. You need to collaborate closely with them to understand the problem, crafting the problem statement. As I've said in many previous episodes of this show, you start with the problem statement, not with the idea, the innovation, the shiny object, the widget. You start with the problem statement. What's the problem you are trying to solve? Now, if you can define that problem statement and you can get stakeholders to agree on that problem statement, your confidence goes way up that any ideas, any innovations you develop that can solve that problem will have a high likelihood of success. So I should say a higher likelihood of success. Now, again, this collaboration ensures that it addresses the needs of the problem statement. That's the ultimate objective. So again, collaboration with the stakeholders, absolutely critical, absolutely important. The second essential ingredient to agile innovation is focusing on innovation impact. Doing those activities that have the biggest impact, those things that are going to have the biggest change. Focusing on impact helps to ensure the value of the innovation delivered. As you're going through this agile incremental fast cycles, you want to make sure that the entire team, the entire set of people working on this are aligned to work together towards the common goal with the same understanding. In the case of an agile framework, you are breaking down all of the activities, whether that be maybe some development of the problem statement or ideation or testing it or building proof of concept, whatever it is, you're doing these in small increments. And by defining and being clear on what these small increments are, you're getting everybody aligned. Everybody is lined up against a common understanding, common goal, a common result that you're looking to deliver, to solve a problem that you have defined. So again, second ingredient is focusing on innovation impact. Not just innovation because it's innovation impact. If you do an increment and the feedback from the people that you're trying to solve the problem for comes back and says, yeah, maybe not, then maybe that's not something you worry about. You take that out of your idea. You drop that idea out of the possible source of all the ideas that you're looking at to solve the problem. The third ingredient for agile innovation is a culture of continuous experiments. Continuous experiments being the key word here. Continuous experiments help organizations to learn fast and make decisions accordingly for sustainable results. Running lots of small experiments is absolutely critical. And in fact, a number of, it's got to be months ago, we had a guest on this show, Stephen Tomke, who wrote a book called Experimentation Works, The Surprising Power of Business Experiments. It's published by Harvard Business Review Press. Go back, listen to that show, or find this book, because it talks about how do you set up lots of experiments, everything from A/B testing to your website, to changes in your call centers, to innovation. So again, you want a culture of continuous experiments. With continuous experiments, this way it's unnecessary to wait until like the end of the project, until you deliver the big reveal to test whether it solves the problem. Is the idea you're working on, the little piece that you've just delivered in the form of an agile deliverable, is that meeting the need? If not, throw it out, go on to the next one, run another experiment. So again, a culture of continuous experiment is critical to agile innovation. Number 4, self-organizing teams. A lot of organizations have very rigid structures where a senior VP directs a VP, who directs a vice director, who directs a manager, right? And you work down the hierarchy. In the case of agile innovation, the fundamental structure is self-organizing teams. Self-organizing teams in the fact that there isn't one person who everybody just waits to be told what to do. Self-organizing teams are responsible and accountable for their work. So when the team agrees that this is the body of work and this is what's going to be in this next chunk of deliverables, or in the terminology of Agile for software development, the next sprint, the thing that's going to get delivered in the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever the time frame for the sprint is. The teams are responsible and accountable for their work, and this speeds up decision-making and execution. There's no need to wait until leadership gives permission before the team or an individual on the team can take action. It's self-organizing. Define and agree on the problem statement and let the team self-organize. Let the team have autonomy. Let the team go execute. Number 5, an innovation team is cross-disciplinary. Agile teams by design need to be cross-disciplinary, which is one of the essential ingredients also for agile innovation. The team needs to include members with diverse skill sets and diverse backgrounds who can work together towards a common goal. Now, I've talked about this a lot, about multidisciplinary, but also diversity. And in the case of innovation, we think about diversity in the normal HR definition, but it's also about experiences. It's about, things that make us up as unique individuals. No two individual is the same. Even identical twins are not the same. They have different experiences. They may have different friends, even though they may have grown up in the same family. But for those of us that are not twins, that diversity is even broader. It includes things like, where did you grow up? What was your family structure? Do you have siblings? Do you have extended family? Did you grow up in the U.S.? Did you grow up internationally? Were you a military brat moving around every year or two as one of your parents got redeployed into a new location? Whatever that is, that's what makes you up, your collective set of experiences, and meshing and developing teams that have that broad diversity of experiences, broad diversity of demographics, making the team very unique and extremely, extremely powerful. Now, keep in mind that your agile teams also represent the changing demographics of an organization and the stakeholders, right? As we go through life, the world changes around us. The stakeholders that we're serving may be different for a particular product or service than what it was a decade ago, and they will be completely different a decade from now. Having your agile team also be representative of that is critically important. Now, in the case of these teams inside of your organization, they need to come from different parts of your organization, and they need to bring those perspectives and experiences. It's not just if you're a technical corporation, company, organization, your innovation team should not be just technical people. Do you have someone from legal? Do you have someone from HR? Do you have somebody from finance, someone from sales as part of your innovation team? Because they bring a different perspective, both for themselves, but also for their role within the organization. So your innovation team, your agile innovation team, needs to be cross-disciplinary. Number 6, the right innovation agility metrics. Now, over the 17 years I've been doing this show, whenever I talk about innovation metrics, this one gets by far the strongest response. Now, there's been a lot of shows historically that I've covered. I've covered a lot of metrics independently. When it comes to agility, we may need to think about agile metrics, not just normal innovation metrics. Now, what do I mean? An innovation metric would be something like, amount of revenue generated this year that are products that were introduced in the last 3 years. What we have referred to as the 3M metric. This is a metric that the 3M Corporation uses to ensure that they've got a robust, growing, impactful innovation pipeline, meaning they want to hit a certain amount of revenue every year from new products, not just be living off of the old stuff. Not how long can you stretch out Scotch tape? How long can you last off of the revenue off of Post-it notes? Those things that have been around for a while. What are the new products that have been introduced in the last 3 to 5 years at 3M? That's a metric. That's a metric that is measurement overall of innovation. Yeah, you could argue that it has some level of impact from the standpoint of Agile, but it's not an Agile-specific metric. An Agile-specific metric would be things like your innovation queue or the Agile queue. How many things are in the queue to be developed? And you're taking things out of the queue to make it into these little chunks, these little sprints that you execute again, that you deliver again. So if the queue starts getting really, really long, that becomes a problem. Maybe the overall project is too big and you need to think about breaking the project. So what I'm talking about here is the right innovation agility metrics. And again, albeit I can give you the pluses and minuses of all kinds of metrics, like if your innovation organization is using percentage of revenue for R&D, I can tell you right now that that is a bad metric. It is non-predictive and has no ability to tell you whether your investment level is good or bad. And we can have a long conversation about that. So it isn't about copying somebody else's metric. Given what you're trying to achieve, given your organization, what is the right metric that makes sense? To know that your agile innovation teams are making progress, are moving quickly, haven't gotten stalled, delayed. Maybe they made too big of a sprint and they got bogged down and they can't execute. Whatever it is, right? Because again, the purpose of the agile innovation methodologies and frameworks is about moving quickly, being agile, move fast, be flexible. So what is it you apply to make your innovation teams move fast, be flexible? Because ultimately it's about taking an idea and achieving execution, being successful when it comes to delivering an innovation project. Remember, ideas without execution is what? It's a hobby. And we're not in the hobby business. We're about taking ideas and making them real. And again, metrics, I wouldn't go overboard and do 10, 20, 30 metrics. I'd find the 3 or 4 that give you a good indication of how your teams are doing. And doing it in such a way that the measurement is not overly burdensome on the team. Is the team delivering innovation, or are they spending their every Friday with their heads in spreadsheets to calculate a number to send to you? Keep it light. Keep the overhead low when it comes to these kinds of metrics. And again, the key here is by measuring the right things and then adapting the approach. Don't get locked in on this metric or everybody uses this metric, so therefore we need to be using this metric. Don't get locked in. You can actually drive the ability to innovate more often and with greater effect if you have the right agility metrics that align with what you're trying to drive on innovation. And now, what I want to talk about now is really what I call the foundational element of agile software development as it applies to innovation. And this is number 7. These short iterative cycles that focus on delivering the highest impact innovation. One of the key ingredients for agile innovation is shorter iterative cycles of ideation, testing, prototyping, and trials, and then repeat. The cycles may be multiple ideation, or you might have multiple testing. You've come up with an idea, you go out, you talk to customers, would this idea solve your problem? No, not really. Go back. ideate some more. Once you've got some kind of confirmation that the feedback from the customer looks good, then it's prototyping. Build some kind of proof of concept. Keep it really small and then iterate on it and be agile with it. Add things to it as you learn. And then ultimately doing trials. I could speak to a project that we did at HP called DreamScreen. So DreamScreen was an all-in-one. You could think of it as kind of an all-in-one PC. Did not run Windows. It ran actually Linux. It was designed for the market in India. And it was designed to solve a couple of different problem statements. But the underlying problem statement we were targeting with DreamScreen was around creating a platform, something that would go into the home that families could use to stay connected as their children went to school, found jobs. They may move away, live in a different part of the country, or they may leave the country in its entirety and go somewhere else in the world to work and have a career. But staying connected, critically important. And also the other objective on this, though, was the target market. Wasn't for the high-end, well-off families. This was aimed at families that didn't have much money, families who may not be able to read and write in their native language. So how do you create an experience that has no dependency on literacy, keeps the price target very well below what other similar devices are being sold? So we actually did a bunch of studies. We defined the problem statement, then we went into the process of ideating it, and we went back out. We, described what we were thinking about building, get feedback. Does that work? Does that not work? And we did multiple iterations of the ideation. Then we started building proof of concepts. We took a much more expensive device and just hacked together some early software screens, some wireframes, to give the impression of what it would look like, of how it would operate, and what features were in it. What was interesting in the case of that effort was we had a big aha well into the project. And that big aha is that in order to save money, we did not include anything like an optical drive. There was no way to stick a DVD or a Blu-ray into this device to watch a movie, right? It was designed as a kind of an entertainment center, but primarily through having some form of access to broadband. And it did not have a dependency on high-speed broadband. But the common feedback we got in that sprint, that part of the iteration is they wanted the DVD player. They wanted the ability to play movies. And I was thinking okay, what's going on here? Why is this so important? And what was kind of the magic insight we got was the fact that, one is it would literally give a household who may have a TV a second device for entertainment. One could be watched by the grandparents, and another one could be watched by the rest of the family. It also gave a little lift of prestige that you could have, quote, 2 TVs in this household. And plus, depending on the use cases, what did the wife want versus what did the grandparents living in the home, the multi-generational homes, what did they want to use it for? And so we found a way to put in a Blu-ray player, very low cost, to try to keep the overall price down into a certain target range. And we modified the product. And we modified the product very deep into the process. But that ended up being a new feature, new part of the problem statement that we delivered as we went into field trials. And a field trial is manufacture a certain number of these, sell them at the price point that you're going to sell them when you are at volume, and test. Are people willing to put money down to buy it? And this product turned out to be quite popular. We had a big launch in Delhi and it was very well received, and ended up being a very popular item that children would buy and have delivered to their families in their home countries in order to get connected, stay connected, be able to have a way to communicate. So again, these short iterative cycles where you test and find, it isn't about a problem statement and then go disappear and come up with some kind of magic answer. Ta-da, here it is. Doing this on an ongoing basis, being close to the stakeholders, close collaboration as you're going through, test and validate, all the things you would do it in a structured way, not in an accidental way, which is sometimes how I think a lot of organizations treat their innovation. They're waiting for the serendipity effect, you having just the right conversation with just the right person at just the right time to get some magic insight. No, you can turn this into a process. Look at Agile, look at how Agile software is done, and look how you can apply agility to your innovation efforts. That is absolutely key. Now, in the case of this short iterative cycles, I would encourage you to have aggressive schedules. Like every 2 weeks, a team would deliver some form of planned progress towards the execution. Is it 2 weeks to get, a description done, a product description done? Would it be 2 weeks to get rough draft industrial design done? Would it be 2 weeks to get main high-level wireframes drafted? Whatever it is, but keep the pace going, keep the energy high, drive that progress. That allows you to see the ball moving down the field. Now, here's one thing that I want you to be very conscious of. If you run into a wall where you don't have an idea that solves the problem, or the problem, hopefully not, but you find a problem that is really not solvable with what capabilities you have today, be willing to raise the flag and stop the project. Just because you've started into the Agile process doesn't mean you're going to ride this through and you're going to deliver. If it's not working, stop. Free up those resources. Find the next problem statement and go solve it. Be willing to kill the project. In these short iterative cycles, these fast refresh rate, that's where you're going to gain that insight. If you're fumbling and struggling and you can't get the feedback from the users or the person you're trying to solve the problem for is, hey, that what you're proposing doesn't solve the problem. It does. I'm looking for XYZ, or here's my problem, and you're not doing it. Then stop it. Or if the problem statement was wrong, go back and rewrite the problem statement and restart the project. Don't be afraid to hit the reset button or to hit the stop button, because that's part of Agile. Is you're going to try something, you're going to do experiments, and it's not going to work. And again, the whole idea of these short iterative cycles is there's more chance to innovate in every iteration with less risk. You're not investing 6 months of effort to then deliver it, to then find out you've missed the mark. You're finding it out every 2 to 4 weeks as you go through the process. Now, I am a firm believer that Agile innovation is the best way to create new products and services for customers. Whatever that product or service is, whether you're going to do auto detailing, or you're going to deliver the next great mobile phone, or you're going to deliver the next robot so that I don't have to vacuum my house. Whatever that is, Agile innovation, I believe, is the best way to create those new products and services. Now, Agile organizations can be nimble enough to respond quickly. It's the whole purpose of being Agile. But also, it has the stability of an innovation framework that's been proven over time. We know how to make innovation repeatable. Agile gives us those ability to test and validate and deliver and reduce the risk as we go through each cycle of the Agile. Now, if you're looking for an Agile innovation approach in your organization, I would suggest that you contact some organizations that are out there, some consulting organizations. The one that I work with, that I have provided all of my methodologies to, and they teach my workshops. So if you want the workshops, boot camps, whatever, it's called the Innovators Network. And hop on over to the show notes. There'll be a link in there for you to contact the Innovators Network. And they can work with you to tailor and get the framework adapted, customized to your organization, train your teams, etc. In the case of Agile, this is the case where you may need help to plan out how an Agile innovation should work with other parts of your company. You already may have Agile frameworks in place, such as your software or product development teams. Agile is becoming quite popular in marketing organizations. And if you already have that, borrow those, steal them, apply them. Because I'm a firm believer that Agile will give you unique competitive advantage. It will significantly reduce the risk of your innovation projects, and you will be able to show to your leadership and to yourself the value you're delivering on an incremental basis as you help take that raw idea and turn it into a breakthrough innovation. So which of the 7 ingredients are you finding or giving you a little bit of a punch in the gut as to being really hard for your organization to adapt? One that I think comes up a lot is these short iterative cycles, number 7 in today's list. Start off small. That would be my advice. Don't try to jam Agile into your entire process and put it on its head and start over again. Apply Agile gradually. Those areas that are could have the biggest impact. Now, in some cases, I'm going to guess that you already have a number of these areas. We've talked about diversity of teams. I'm assuming you've already have checked that box. Close collaboration with your stakeholders, another box that you can check, right? So I'm guessing that a number of these you've already checked. But number 7, those short iterative cycles, it can take a little time to figure out how do you break those down, what's the right size of them. This is not a software development effort. This is an innovation effort. You have a lot of unknowns. If you're really pushing the innovation curve, trying to predict that you can have something done in 2 weeks can be pretty hard, right? And if you don't, and you don't meet the objective, then the team starts feeling bad, like it's missing it's not delivering what it's promised. You have to be careful, and you want to make sure people understand that this is still about innovation, and failure is okay. That's part of innovation, is finding out what works and how do you apply other kinds of methodologies and frameworks and processes that can work for your organization and make your organization as effective as possible when it comes to delivering innovation impact. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us this week. As I have gotten into the habit of saying over and over again, I value your time. I do. I know how much that the time you spend with us, how valuable that is. I know my time is valuable, right? I'm prioritizing things I want to do, things I have to do, things I would like to do, but just can't fit into the schedule. And you have prioritized this show into your schedule. And that means a lot to us here working on the show. So again, thank you for taking the time and being with us this week. Hey, I'd love to hear your feedback. You can drop me a note over at phil@killerinnovations.com, and love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, guests you would like to have on the show, questions. Even in today's show, if there's one of these ingredients that you think that an entire episode could or should be about, let me know if you would think that would be helpful or beneficial to you. So love to hear that from you. And again, also help us spread the word. The purpose of this show is to pay it forward, give you information based on my experiences over the last 17 years. I'm coming up on 18 years that I've been doing the podcast. Over my career as being the Chief Technology Officer at Hewlett-Packard and being in executive innovation leadership in a number of organizations and a number of the companies that I coach, mentor, and advise. So bringing that all back and sharing that with you, that is the purpose of this show. So I want to make sure we're delivering value to you. So again, would appreciate it. You can contact us by email, or you can reply on any of the social media platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or anywhere else you can find myself. So just drop me a note and I would greatly appreciate it. And with that, we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovations Show on the Innovators Network.